El podcast del tanque borracho de Rooster Teeth. Chimichanga.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Drunk Tank.
I suddenly want a chimichanga.
You know, I've been sitting on that theme song for a couple months now, waiting to use it today. 'Cause today's a special day, Mexican Independence Day. I know y'all don't know that.
Oh right. I thought Cinco de Mayo was Mexican Independence Day though.
No, that was some beer company made that up. Well, didn't make it up. Some beer company started promoting that in the U.S. in the 70s to try to get people to drink more beer. But today, the real Mexican Independence Day.
Do you think did it work? Did people drink more beer?
I think more people know about Cinco de Mayo in the U.S. than in Mexico. So yeah, I think it worked.
That makes no sense. Why? I don't get it. So what is Cinco de Mayo to Mexican people?
Well, it commemorates a battle that Mexico won against France during the War for Independence. But, I mean, it's celebrated in parts of Mexico, but it's not a big deal.
Can I ask you a question? Do you know that because you grew up on the border between America and Mexico? Do they, in your history classes and stuff growing up, did you get a more Mexican-heavy history? No,
we had to stand. We were still in the United States, you know.
Well,
I lived on this side of the river.
It's more relevant. You're right next door.
No, I got the exact same curriculum.
Wow.
All the same.
Hey, so is this the holiday where the people get out the big mallets with the fireworks on the end?
Oh, shit.
Shit.
Remember that video?
I forgot about that video. I gotta find that.
You gotta link up that thing.
I don't know
What
what
do you do? Was it like C4 on the end of a mallet, like a hammer?
I don't know what the fuck
like,
that was.
Slams it on the ground, and it like rips his hands over the back of his
That
head.
dude goes flying?
It's a video where these people are celebrating something in Mexico, and there's crowds of people that have like huge, like Super Mario mallets.
It looks like the hammer from fucking
Donkey Kong.
Halo.
Oh, from Halo, yeah.
Gravity hammer. Fuck me, that'd be awesome.
And on the end of it is some kind of explosive, some kind of contact explosive. And they're just hitting these things on the ground, making these huge explosions. And I guess one guy thinks, I'm going to have the showstopper. And man, he almost kills himself.
The show definitely got stopped. You know, we'd see that all the time growing up on the border. You could buy like homemade, I guess they were like homemade fireworks in Mexico. And essentially it was like gunpowder wrapped in newspaper. And they were like huge triangles of it. And I remember once I was in 9th grade and I was like bending down using my locker. And I heard something to my right. And I turned and I looked and someone had gotten one of those and thrown it on the ground next to me. I was like, oh, that's gonna suck. And it went off, and it literally, like, knocked me over onto the ground.
No shit, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Shockwaved by it.
Wow. You know, I sat next to a guy coming back from PAX on the plane. I sat next to a dude who was going over, he had just finished 3 years in Iraq, and he was going back for another 4 years. He'd signed another contract. And this dude was, like, he was huge. He was, like, 250 of solid muscle, and he was a frontline grunt. That's what he called himself.
Yeah.
And he said, you know, takes a certain kind of mentality, and I got that mentality. Like, he was frontlines guy. He said he'd been hit by 20 IEDs.
What?
Yeah, 20 IEDs. And then he talked about something else called an RFD, which is not just an explosive device. It's like something that, like, shoots molten copper at you, like some kind of device that gets rigged up. It was horrifying to hear about it, but to hear him describe getting hit by an IED... He said, these are his words, I'm sure, you know, this is his experience. He said, it's not as bad as what you'd think. You're just driving along in your Humvee, and then suddenly your Humvee's 20 feet in the air. And
Jesus
I said,
Christ.
that sounds pretty bad to me. And he goes, yeah, and then you're like, by the way, he's a huge video game fan. Plays everything. Plays Left 4 Dead, Modern Warfare, Halo, plays it all. And he says they actually do a good job of showing what it's like to get hit by a flashbang and be in an explosion. Mm-hmm. He said, because after he got hit by this IEDs... you spend the first 30 seconds coming back to reality, and he said figuring out whether or not you're alive. You don't know.
Fucking crazy.
That's fucked up.
He had crazy stories, but he was a really cool guy, and
20 times?
Yeah.
It must get to the point where it becomes an annoyance. It's like,
I'm sure it's annoying, yeah.
man.
Was he all scarred up and stuff?
No, he was. I will say this: the surprising thing about it was when the drink cart came by, I offered to buy him a drink, and he said, no, I can't drink. And I said, oh, sorry, the uniform, right? He goes, no, I'm 20. The dude looked like he was 35.
Wow.
Like, he's lived a life that not many people have lived, you know?
Yeah.
And that shocked, my wife was traveling with me, and it shocked us. That was the most shocking thing he told us. Out of everything he told us about the war, the fact that he was 20 was the most shocking. It was just
fucking crazy.
And he's going back for 4 years, man.
Yeah.
Going back for 4 years. Amazing.
We had some guys come by yesterday to show off their ODST armor that they made, which was fucking awesome, by the way. Those 4/5 guys, yeah.
They had a gravity hammer that weighed about 150 pounds.
It was crazy. And it looked better than the stuff I'd seen from Weta. I mean, that thing was amazing. But anyway, those guys, one of those guys I haven't personally seen it
And
in the
cut.
pictures.
It was really impressive.
Had
stuff.
like a leather handle, right?
Yeah, it was
And,
fantastic.
and yeah, you could easily kill a guy with one hit with that thing.
But talking to the main guy, he is stationed at Fort Hood, and he is about to go over for his 4th trip to Iraq, and then he'll have another 5th trip after that.
And
I can't imagine that.
Just the nicest guys, man.
Yeah.
Just absolutely, like, really enthusiastic guy, really cool people that came by.
It was super nice.
Yeah, it's been really cool to connect with some of the military people that watch Red vs. Blue, especially, and then, of course, they all play Halo as well.
Really talented
Yeah.
too. Like some of the stuff they made was spot on.
Yeah, it looked great.
Yeah.
You know, that is a weird thing, because when I was a kid, I remember as a kid thinking, how cool would it be to have a Halloween costume that was a stormtrooper armor? And I mean, like the real armor, not the vinyl, Halloween costume with the mask and the rubber band. But now it just seems like everybody's doing that stuff.
We should do that. We should dress up as stormtroopers for Halloween. We should fulfill your childhood fantasy, and everyone in the office should buy a stormtrooper outfit.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know about that.
know. I mean, I'm not as much into Nazis as I was when I was a kid. Those are the stormtroopers I meant.
And cut.
Going good so far.
But it really is weird. Like, all of a sudden, people suddenly had the ability to mold plastic in their garage. Like, that. Where did that come from?
I guess it's just the proliferation of information on the internet. Like, now you're like, oh, I wonder how to do that. Let me look. Oh, that's how you do that. Okay.
Yeah, and they'll talk to you about it like the way we talk about things now, about technology. Like, they're just matter of fact. And these guys do that. Like, I said, this is cool. How do you make it? Oh, it's real easy. It's just like it's all PVC and then we vacuum form it. I'm like, no, that's not acceptable. That makes no sense, It's like, you can't just casually mention stuff like that. It's like having a nuclear lab in your garage to me.
It's easy. We just separate the hydrogen from its components apart. Duh.
How do you go from a PVC tube to that armor? Do they melt it?
I guess.
Do they? That's got to have like toxic fumes and shit.
No, but you like when you vacuum form something, you just heat it and then suck it, right? And it just sucks into shape. You don't have to melt anything.
You
right?
know better than I
So
would.
they just stood there with a straw and sucked that into shape?
I think you just stretch. It gets like hot and floppy, and you just suck it into a mold.
No, clearly they had the Succutronic 3000 vacuum forming thing,
The suck flop.
Clearly, Jeff, come on.
They just got the ODST mold. Duh.
That would be a forum on the internet that you could walk into and not understand anything being said for like the first 2 months you're there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's one of the things I love about the internet. Is like, I think that's what's happened. All these people who have this interest and a little bit of knowledge have all found each other on the internet, and now it seems like anything is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody takes their little bit of knowledge and amasses it into fucking...
And now we have magic.
And now we have magic.
And now we have Japan launching a fucking satellite to beam power back to Earth.
That's
Yeah,
so
the wireless
awesome.
power.
That's magic to me. Is that magic to you?
That's totally magic.
Wireless power?
It's like, oh, our power comes from up there.
Is that the next
Somewhere.
next huge thing?
I don't know. It's pretty fucking huge.
What were you saying? It was 4 kilometers across? Is
Yeah,
that right?
surface area.
The surface area of it?
That would be four
square kilometers?
But that's got to be like the next big thing since the invention of electricity itself, surely.
Wireless electricity?
Yeah.
I guess.
So 4 square kilometers would essentially be 2 kilometers per side.
So 1.2 miles by 1.22 miles for our
Whoa.
kilometer challenged.
And let's explain what we're talking about here. Japan is just started a project where they're going to launch is it even right to call it a satellite?
Yeah, there's a satellite. Yeah.
It's an enormous solar satellite that's going to collect energy outside of the atmosphere and then beam it down to Japan.
Right. They're going to power 300,000 homes using this technology.
And what's the cost on this project?
$21 billion.
Wow.
They said that I think they want to have it in place by 2015 and that they're going to start doing initial smaller tests.
God, should we be doing this? Is that too much?
It does seem like that's basically just going to make a giant heat ray that's going to zap something,
Especially
right?
if someone knocks it off.
Its axis?
Yeah.
You get hit with a meteor shower or something. Next thing you know, fucking where's Africa?
I'd love to see. Yeah, I'd love to see like a third world country's version of that. It's like they just put a giant magnifying glass and make this like super hot point.
They just
where
put a mirror on the moon. It's like,
so it's always daylight.
It's not a bad idea.
That's fine.
what would you be able to see if the moon was a mirror? Would you be able to see yourself?
I don't know.
You just shave. I'm just going to look at the moon and get out my Gillette.
You'd shave with a telescope. Basically. That makes sense.
Why not? Fuck it. It's magic.
God,
That
it
is
does.
magic.
It seems crazy to me that the stuff that they're doing now. It's just nuts.
So that would be how they power every. So basically, if you lived there, you would have to pay for that service. You wouldn't be able to choose not to pay and live there.
What does that mean?
Like,
well, you have to pay for electricity regardless.
like you choose your electricity service, right?
Like you make a pirated power receiver, basically?
But what I'm saying is, it would be a waste to live under that thing and not want to use that kind of power.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Why run the electrical
I don't
lines?
think, I mean, most places, I don't know about in the UK, but here you really don't have a choice for your power. Like, just where you live, you're powered by someone.
Do you
I have to have City of Austin power. I have no choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you don't care.
No, and I don't care.
It's like we got in conversations with Gavin about national health insurance that he has, and he doesn't really know how it works. He just knows that it works.
Yeah.
And we're all concerned about it, but we have so much stuff in America that is already that way. Like how our water works, I don't care. You know, I don't want to go shopping around for my best water deal.
Right.
I have pipes in my house. That's it. You know.
Yeah. Where does this pipe start? Okay, that's the guy I'm paying.
Exactly right. Just send me a bill. You know, called the water company. You know what I mean?
Do you think our parents, like talking about the technology stuff, like in the '60s or maybe even our grandparents, were sitting around in a room one day going, "Did you hear about this? They're gonna." A tape is going to have a movie on it, and you put it in a box in your house, and you're going to. It's like being at the movie theater. Do you think, like...
I'm sure they did.
Or, like, you're going to be able to... Like, if you're not home, you can just leave a message. And then when you get home, you hit a button, and people... The guy's talking to you. Like, that stuff must have seemed like science fiction to me.
Yeah,
right?
I can't imagine being from that time and seeing the shit we have now.
I know. And it's like, imagine what, like, our kids are going to talk about 20 years from now when they're sitting in a room.
We watched that Mystery Science Theater the other day where they were talking about phones in the 60s or whatever.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
And they had all kinds of crap that I didn't know they had back then.
Yeah, that was
like
pretty
putting
weird.
people on hold and, like, forwarding your number to somewhere else.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could do that shit 50 years ago, whatever.
That was in the 60s. It was like in the 40s,
Oh, really?
that video.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gavin and I were
bizarre.
talking about that with September 11th. The anniversary just passed. And how if that happened today, you would have hundreds, if not thousands, of videos of the first plane hitting just because people would be recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like that
and
Onion video
and
that we
people-
like so much.
Like,
Yeah.
literally everyone has a camera phone pretty much now that can do video. A lot of people do.
It sure seems
And,
like it.
and if the second plane hit again now, you would have like thousands of videos of that exact moment. If you synced them all up, you could get some weird 360-degree bullet time view of
Yeah,
that
some kind of
plane.
like 3D recreation.
I'll go a level deeper than that. You would have video from inside the plane.
Oh,
Because
shit,
they were
you
calling
would.
on their cell phones.
Yeah, that's right.
And pictures and things like that.
You would have footage from inside the building, inside the plane,
It's crazy.
in the basement.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
It's crazy. And that's not that long ago.
Yeah, 8
really.
years?
Yeah.
God, I can't believe it's
To
been 8
think
years.
that only one camera captured that first plane hit.
Yeah, that's
That is insane to me.
unbelievable, yeah.
And he captured it like perfectly. Like he was aiming down at this grate because they were checking a gas leak, weren't they? And he just heard the plane go up, flicked the camera up just at the moment it hit.
They were following
and
a
you-
firefighter crew.
Yeah, it was like two French brothers doing this documentary about firefighters. It's a great documentary.
And they
Oh,
were,
yeah?
And they were just in the right place. They were in the tower when it collapsed. Wow. They were underneath, like in the basement, and like it's like they're there, and you hear the building coming down around them, and everything goes dark. And but somehow they made it out.
So some people are in just such states, so like the building's collapsing around them. There's like clouds of dust, and people are just like looking at it and just slowly walking. It's just like, what is happening? Some people aren't even running.
Gavin? How was your experience with that? You lived in the UK. How old were you?
I was probably 14. Was I?
Probably 13.
13. I think it was the last lesson of the day at school because it was the afternoon for us. It was like 3 p.m. Yeah, and I didn't actually know what the Twin Towers were at that time.
Sure.
I was like something happened in America and we got home and I like whoa. But yeah, I didn't really know much about it. A lot of stuff happened when I was young and I didn't know a lot about the stuff until after it happened. Like I didn't really know the big deal about Princess Diana until after she was dead.
Now, you were probably much younger for that, though.
Yeah.
Dude, she was such a MILF. So
Take it easy. Take it easy.
You know, it's funny. I had a similar experience. Like when I was a kid, I must have been 10 years old when like the Berlin Wall fell. And I remember watching it like on the news at night that evening, and being like, you know, I kind of know what this is about, but I know this is a much bigger deal than I understand at this point in my life. And I made a point to watch it because I was like, I know this is important. I know this is a big deal.
That was a huge deal to me when the Berlin Wall fell. I guess I'm 3 or 4 years older than you.
I was actually 11, so you must have been like 14.
Yeah, because
What year was that?
89.
89. I grew up in the middle of the Cold War, and I was terrified of Russia as a kid, man. I was like, it was just like a fact that at some point we were going to get hit with a nuclear bomb. At least to me as a kid. and I was fucking
Did
terrified.
you know?
of it
Did you know what that
constantly.
was as a kid?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you know what that meant?
Yeah, because we had tons of movies like Day After Tomorrow and shit like that, Red Dawn, where it was just, I knew at some point Russia was going to invade.
Like, do you have? You're younger than us by about 10 years, if not more.
Yeah, I'm 21.
Do you have a recollection at all of an East and West Germany? Does that even make sense to you? Like, we talk about East Germany.
I know about it, but it never affected my life.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, I was
shit. You were born in '88.
I was born in '88, so
Yeah.
yeah, I was one.
They were two different countries. East Germany was
Yeah,
its own
yeah, yeah.
country.
My wife's sister-in-law is from Germany, and they actually live over there now. And she has crazy stories about when the wall fell and people started to come over. And she was like, she worked with a girl who ended up getting a job at a hospital where she worked who'd never seen a banana before and didn't know what it was.
Whoa.
Really?
Yeah, can you imagine that? She was just like, she was freaked out. She's like, I don't know what the fuck that is. That's creepy. Why are you eating it? Man? It's a banana.
We had this conversation at one point too, where I was wondering, would it be possible that just by coincidence and circumstance, a person could miss a major event in the world? Like, you didn't watch TV that day, and you just happened to walk out of the room every time someone started talking about it. 9/11's a bad example because it went on for like 2 months. But like, what if you missed like? I can't even come up with it because I don't know. Like, what if you missed like one of the pyramids fell down or something like that in Egypt, and you just didn't learn that? You know, you didn't know that.
Yeah.
By the way, that didn't happen. I'm coming up with an example.
That could-
Or
that
if
could
you
totally
were
happen.
if you were just in a coma for a week.
Or even
And
like
you-
you went on
nobody told
vacation.
Like a little extreme.
I was on vacation in Miami for a week. I didn't really have internet the entire time I was there. I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, like I mean, see, people dying is one of those things. Like, you don't know that someone is dead.
Yeah.
You know, you find out about it years later.
It's nothing like the example you said, but when I went to Japan a couple years ago, that's when Apple announced they were ditching PowerPC processors in favor of Intel processors. Like, they announced it that week, that time I was gone. Then I came back and I heard about it. Like, people were talking about it, like, matter of factly, like 2 months later. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, you have no clue what you're talking about.
And I had no idea. Then I like had to go back and read about it. I was like, holy shit, yeah, I totally missed that.
Well, didn't they find a ton of people who didn't know certain wars were over and stuff? Like, they'd been in hiding.
Oh,
and,
man.
like, they didn't realize that the war ended
There's
20 years ago.
I don't think I told the story in the podcast yet. Stop me if I have. There was a couple of guys. There were 3 guys on a small island off the Philippines. 3 Japanese guys who were in the military, and they were still there as recently as the early '90s, and they still thought the war was going on. Like, and then over time, 2 of them had died. So just like one old man who was still like raiding villages and like stealing pigs to keep himself alive out in the jungle.
God.
And people would try to talk to him and tell him the war was over, and he wouldn't believe it. And he was told to stay there and defend. So they had to get his old commanding officer, who was no longer in the military. He was like some school teacher. They had to get his old commanding officer to put on his old uniform again and come out to the island to tell him to finally stop.
Wow.
Jesus.
So he was on the island for like 50 years, like eating pigs and living in the jungle and killing people. He killed a bunch of people.
What
Wow.
the fuck?
I'll see if I can find the story for the link dump.
That's crazy.
And that man invented the Solar Space Station.
Yeah. So how do you go home from that?
Yeah.
After your 50-year tour of the war.
His first words were, "What the fuck is nukes?" That's
Dude,
a whole reference.
That guy's got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I'll see if I find that story.
What would it be like to return to Japan today when you left it in 1940?
Yeah, man.
It would be like such a huge jump into the future. I mean, you're leaving like
It's like, we're putting a satellite in space next week to beam power down to us. What's a satellite? What's space?
and how about walking through downtown
You'd
Tokyo?
be like, what the fuck is Hello Kitty in anime?
I mean, I would make a joke that he thinks he's walking onto the set of Blade Runner, but he wouldn't know what Blade Runner is. You know? I mean, downtown Tokyo would be frightening.
What's a
It's
science
crazy.
fiction movie from that time period? Like, it'd be like The Day the Earth Stood Still. Like that kind of level of science fiction, right? From back then?
I
So he would
can't
have
even
no
imagine.
frame of reference.
I can't even
whatsoever.
imagine. I think he's better off in the jungle,
Yeah.
stealing pigs.
It wouldn't be
honestly.
worth
probably.
adjusting. It'd be so hard.
Yeah, God, that's really fascinating. Really fascinating. The so you guys, I mean, I don't want to beat this September 11th thing to death, but where were you guys? Where were you guys when you found out about it?
I was at TNI. I was floor managing that day.
Oh,
So
yeah?
I was like, Ajax and I watched it.
That's our old tech
And
support.
TNI's, yeah, the old
our
tech support
support
place.
company.
Yeah.
And where were you?
I was actually not far from here. I think I'd woken up that morning and I heard like the DJ on my radio alarm say, a plane flew into the tower. I thought, that's weird. And I thought they meant the UT tower. And I thought it was like a little single engine plane had flown into it. And so I had a view of, the university from where I lived at the time. So I went out into my balcony and looked at it and goes, tower was fine. It's like, that guy's full of shit. And I drove down to work, and I parked in the same parking garage that we park at now for Rooster Teeth, and I bumped into the secretary for the CEO of the company I worked for. And she's like, oh, did you hear what's going on? She told me. I was like, wow, that's crazy.
It was so weird. Like, the weirdest thing about that, at least in my memory, is that for about a good 20 minutes, it was just kind of amusing almost. I mean, like, when we found out about it, we thought it was like a prop plane hit the World Trade Center. I thought it was some idiot tourist or something who like lost control and just bounced off the World Trade Center. And then when shit started coming down, it was very quickly.
Or when you saw the first picture of the hole in the side of the tower.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at a convention in Dallas, and it was the morning the convention was going to start, and they canceled the whole convention, and everyone had to find a way to try to get home.
Man, that's crazy.
That was not
to cancel
easy.
a convention. That's crazy.
Think if you would, that's a 3-hour drive from where we live in Austin. But if someone was there from St. Louis, how would you get home? They shut down airline travel for 4 days here.
Yeah. That'd be. I mean, yeah, I can't imagine. It'd be like us, I guess, trying to go to Comic-Con and something happening and be like, oh, well, convention's over. I guess we got to figure out how to get back to Texas.
That pretty much paused the entire world, right, for a day.
Well, certainly America.
Yeah, definitely paused America.
Nothing that was going to happen that day happened.
Yeah, pretty much. It didn't seem to matter. You know what I mean? Nothing seemed to matter.
I bet it mattered for the people who were calling you at the old tech support place.
Yeah, dude, it also killed the internet. Universally, the internet just stopped working. And we worked at a tech support company where we fixed internet problems, and man, we talked to a lot of pissed off people that day.
Yeah, that was unbelievable how mad people were about their
people were
internet
just
working.
rude as hell. And we'd be like, well, you have to...
I still find it weird that the internet can't handle everyone who uses the internet at once.
It's like most traffic shaping stuff. It's like highways. Highways are designed to get people around, but if everyone wants to use the highway at once, it's not going to fucking work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Telephone network is definitely that way.
Didn't you have problems at PAX with your 3G?
Oh yeah, that happened at South by Southwest too. AT&T really has to go nuts installing, more circuits to handle traffic when there's a major convention in town.
Yeah, when we were at PAX, my phone, I have a 3GS, my phone worked, but the data didn't work. Like
Because it was so crammed.
Yeah, it said it was connected, but I wouldn't get anything. Then, once every hour and a half or so, I'd get a bunch of aims.
Oh, by the way, did you see that they released the official numbers for PAX attendance?
Yeah, I saw
I think
that.
it was 61.7.
Nice.
I thought it was 67.
I thought it was 61.7. But that's purely a function of them
Selling
being limited
out.
by space. Yeah, that thing could have been a lot bigger.
And they're all currently under quarantine.
Yeah.
I saw something at PAX that I was really excited about that I think maybe I didn't adequately convey my excitement to you guys. Was Scribblenauts.
Yeah.
And that game finally came out.
We were giving that a go this morning.
Yeah, the question that Jeff asked earlier, what will our kids talk about technology-wise that'll confuse us? It'll be Scribblenauts.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand how that game works at all.
Dude, I couldn't stump. I tried for about 20 minutes. I could not stump the game.
I
even
even
made a Rooster Teeth
explain
logo.
what it is.
It's almost like a platformer. You go around and you got to collect starites. You got to collect these little stars. It's like little puzzles. Like get from here to here, or look, the starite's up in the tree. You got to get it from there.
It's a Nintendo DS,
game. Yeah. And the way you do it is you type stuff into the game and it appears. So like let's say the star's in a tree. You're like, oh well, I'll get an axe and I'll cut the tree down. Yeah, I got the star. Or I'll drop a lumberjack down and he'll cut the tree down. Or let's put a woodpecker on the tree and he'll knock the tree down.
Wow.
It's so crazy that I typed in bully and a bully came up and started beating me up. And then I typed in milk money and my character picked up the money and went and gave it to the bully, and the bully left him alone for a few minutes. And then the bully started beating him up again, so I put him in quicksand. But it's like...
I did it. I put down just two random things. I put down an arsonist and a sled. And he immediately went over to the sled, set fire to it, and then got in it and started sliding around.
He also put down God and Satan, and they started fighting each other.
God won. God
won.
kicked Satan's ass.
I think I saw a video demo once where someone had God fight Cthulhu.
Oh, is he in there?
Yeah.
We did try a social experiment though. We tried to put in Mohammed to see because that's a banned image. They can get a lot of trouble for making an image of that, and it's not in there.
But who do they get?
That's the only thing really that I couldn't find.
Who gets in trouble from who when you do that?
Well, there was a Danish cartoonist who got murdered. Oh no, he's a filmmaker.
Yeah.
By who though? Who?
Just some individual, some radical individual. And somebody pointed out to me, and I thought this was a really interesting point. Is like that might seem very backwards to us, but when did the Islamic religion start? Like in 400 AD?
I'm gonna say yes.
So we're 1400 years into it, essentially. So at 1400 AD, Christianity was at about that level. If you walked around like making images of Jesus Christ, you could be thrown in jail or killed.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, easily. Anyway, not to excuse some dude getting killed for making a movie. That's completely unacceptable. But I thought that was an interesting point that somebody made. But we on Scribblenauts, we tried to bust this thing. We tried to type in some object that this game would not have. I literally could not do it. I typed in vampire to make fun of my wife for reading Twilight, and then the vampire came up and started hitting my guy, like attacking my guy. So then I typed in cross, and my guy got a cross, and the vampire ran away.
And then I tried the same thing today. I typed in steak, and my guy stabbed him. And then I tried garlic, and he chased the vampire away with garlic.
It's
Crazy.
It's
yeah,
really crazy.
of course there are exceptions. It's not going to have like foul language or obscene
Right,
things.
like I didn't have vagina when I looked that up, but I didn't
Of
expect
course,
it
that was
to.
the first thing he typed in, and I said, I should have given the rules to you, and they are no proper names, no obscene words, and then nothing copyrighted.
Do you know why I do that, though? Because I showed the internet to a guy one time in the Army. This is in, I'm going to say 95 or 94 or 95. This California, like, dirty, scuzzy surfer dude. Like, you wouldn't leave him in a room with your girlfriend for 2 minutes because somehow he would, he'd have her bra in his hands, like one of those kind of guys. And I showed him, it was myself and this other girl were doing something on the internet, and like Netscape Navigator. And he walks over and he goes, well, what the hell is this? And we go, oh, it's the internet. And he goes, I don't know, how does it work? And so we showed him a search engine, and you go, you type in anything you want here. And this is on a military base in an office complex, like at the newspaper where I worked, And he goes, I just type in anything and it finds it. And he goes, I don't like anything? I go, yeah. The dude goes, the first thing the dude ever touched on the internet, the first thing he typed in sloppy pussy.
Oh, Jesus!
And of course, it brought it up, and he just goes, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Move over. And
Sloppy.
The guy spent the entire day like looking up sex stuff on a military computer.
And there was a woman in the office he types that in?
Yeah, she was hot too.
Oh, my
she was just sitting right
God.
next to us, and she was just like, oh my God.
oh man.
Oh, yeah, that guy would hate Scribblenauts.
Yeah.
He'd be very disappointed.
But because every time I go to type something in a scenario like that runs through my head.
I wonder, it'd be really interesting if everyone knew what their first search was. Like, what was the first thing you typed in?
I remember mine.
What was yours?
Misfits lyrics.
Misfits lyrics. Wow.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what I typed in.
I have a general idea. The first time I started using like a web browser and search engines was at math camp. So I think I was trying to download a research paper about Fermat's last theorem.
Whoa, take it easy there.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's what
I
it
bet.
was. And then my second search was sloppy pussy.
Okay, yeah.
Well, you got to.
Yeah, duh.
That's not even two words I put together, But that was it. That was the first thing that he thought of.
Sloppy. How does that even...
What a fucking maniac. It's crazy. You know what the guy on the plane, the military guy, told me about? At least this was his theory, which I hadn't heard before. Why women aren't in the infantry?
Why's that?
Why? Well, you're an ex-military guy. Why do you think that? What do you think the main rule is? Why they're not in the infantry? Why they don't fight?
They say because of like sex stuff, people being distracted because of sex.
He said the main reason is that the mindset of the infantrymen, they won't leave a wounded woman. That if they get shot down during an operation, that they will just finish the mission, a guy,
Yeah.
but that they won't be able to leave a wounded woman. And they'll abandon the mission for the wounded woman. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's.
That might be his
I don't know if that's accurate, but
I don't know if it's accurate either, but maybe, maybe that's the, psychological reason they give them.
I tell you, women
institutional sexism.
should definitely be allowed to fight on the front lines. I served in the army with some chicks that were tough as nails, dude.
This guy said they have these physical competitions. He like I said, 250 solid muscle. He said a woman the size of my wife weighs nothing. Put him in an armbar in 5 seconds in a thing, because he said he was like kind of like, okay, I'll take it easy, and like kind of pushed her, and then she grabbed his arm and threw him in an armbar. And it's like in all their promotional material they put out for his unit. It's always the picture of him
Him getting
like,
his ass kicked.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I mean, it's got to be like that. It's such a fucking macho boys club in the military, To be a woman, it's got to be really tough. They got to fucking represent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did any of you guys ever beat Kathleen in an arm wrestle?
Yes.
I would never arm wrestle a woman. I have a rule against that. It's a no-win scenario.
Yeah, there's no good outcome for you.
Either you're going to lose, and you shouldn't lose to a woman, or you're going to beat her, and it's like, you asshole.
Or you kick
No,
her
that's
fucking
not true.
ass.
You get to hold their hand for like 10 seconds. So you have a moment there.
Yes, you're right. We're sorry, Gavino. We're totally wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if this is appropriate conversation for the podcast, or even on topic, but we kept bringing this up. And there's the thing right there where Gav says you get to hold her hand for...
Oh,
a
God.
few
Here we
minutes.
go. Yeah.
So here's the big question.
Here's the question.
What is the age at which you think it takes place where you make out with someone and you're not gonna have sex.
Like you
with
don't
them.
expect to have sex.
Right, like just like an evening of making out is just a normal evening.
Or like where you rate it on the base system, like, oh, I got the second base.
right.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people listening to the podcast and go, they don't even understand what we're talking about.
That's appropriate to Gavin. Like he can imagine going on a date with a girl, going to dinner, then sitting in a car and making out for like 2 hours, and then she drops him off at home or whatever,
or he drops her off.
Or he drops her.
Let's give him some masculinity.
Well, I'm
in
just
this
trying to be accurate.
But like, if one of my friends came up to me and said, "Hey, I was dating this new girl, and we went out and we made out for 2 hours, and then she went home," I go, "What happened? What went wrong?
How'd you blow it?"
What happened?" I mean, it's just like there's a certain age at which
It's somewhere in your 20s.
Yeah, definitely sometime in the 20s.
I'd say like 20, like post college, right? Like 23, 24.
Yeah, 23, 24 sounds about right to me.
Yeah. I mean, there's a difference between that and like being on a date and giving someone a kiss, but you know, like even like weird things. Like I was making out with a girl and I got her top off, and then she went home. Or
Yeah.
you know, that seems weird.
No,
right?
it does. Yeah,
I don't know if that makes
So
you.
you're 90% of the way there.
high school shit.
Is that high school shit? Yeah. That's college shit for me.
If we're gonna make out, pants are coming off. It's go
You're gonna
time.
bump some uglies.
We're about to have 7 uncomfortable minutes.
Maybe that you hit that stage a lot sooner growing up in Alabama.
Well,
you know,
12.
where your teeth fall out when you eat a piece of candy. You want to talk about
damn.
that?
My fucking tooth fell out.
Jeff lost a tooth.
I lost half a tooth. Sunday, I was eating.
No, dude, there's no such thing as half a tooth. You lost a tooth.
I was eating taffy from fucking Oregon that Griffin brought back, and I took a bite and it sounded weird, and then half my tooth was in my hand.
You should have seen
my
his
God.
face. He just looked over to me like with like a paused mid-chew look, like what? And then he just carried on chewing. It was like, and he's like, fuck, and he pulled out like a slice of the top of his tooth. Like
So the tooth it didn't come out in one piece; it came out like in slivers.
it was like
just
one
that
chunk.
one chunk.
Yeah, it
came
was
out.
like the top of his tooth. It was gross.
So anyway, the best part was it didn't hurt at all, but the best part was I had to get Monday morning go to a dentist, and I don't have dental insurance.
But that
so I had
taffy-
to pay $1,400 for a fucking
dude.
Wow.
piece of taffy.
So you had a $1,400 piece of taffy.
Yeah,
How was
and
it?
now I have a temporary crown, and so I got to go back in 3 weeks so they can take that out, which I'm sure is going to be fun because it's glued to my mouth, and then get a new crown put in, the permanent one.
Did they numb you?
Oh yeah, they numbed the shit out of me.
You did something kind of smart.
Yeah, I'm
with
gonna tell
that.
you guys, I got a trick for the dentist. They come in and they give you the shot, which is not fun, but whatever. You get the shot, and they say, "All right, we'll take 7 or 8 minutes and come back and tell me if your lip feels heavy." No matter how your lip feels, you got to tell them no because they'll give you another shot, and you'll be numb as a motherfucker. Because otherwise, you'll feel it. No matter how numb you think you are from that first shot, you'll feel it. So always lie and tell them it's like I was like, I'm barely numb at all. Is it supposed to feel? No, it's like a little tingly. And he's like, okay, I guess we'll give you more. Do. I didn't feel my face for a day and a half.
God.
But there was zero pain, and to give you a crown, they have to sand your tooth down, and they have to shore up the sides and make the sides fucking skinny too. That's some nonsense going on in your mouth. You don't want to feel that.
Well, not when your tooth is all spongy and decayed.
There's
like
nothing
you're
wrong with
barely-
it. The guy was even like, your tooth's fine. There's no cavities or anything. It's just half gone.
You know, the tooth is not fine. That is not the definition of a fine tooth.
What's
taffy-
left of my tooth was fine.
The taffy wasn't even. It was really soft, and it just sucked the top of your tooth off.
It was
And that's
fucking
gross.
awful.
That's worse than like cracking it. It just got pulled off.
Gross. Like the top of a hard-boiled egg.
I stopped
basically.
eating that stuff
What
straight away.
was gross was writing the check. Or giving them my credit card. That was the part that was gross.
You know, it does seem like that some candy goes out of its way to be particularly sticky. Like a Jolly Rancher, there's points at which I think, I don't eat them anymore, but when I was a kid, I eat them, I think, I'm never going to be able to open my mouth again. This is
You
my
just get
life.
locked in.
Yeah.
This is my life from now on. And what is that?
And then people be like, "What's wrong with you, Jolly Rancher?"
Like, why don't they use that stuff to, like, glue airplane wings on?
Or glue your teeth back on together.
Yeah.
Put
Maybe
your
you
crown on with a Jolly Rancher.
You could have filled in the gap with some of that chewed up taffy. It's harder than your tooth, apparently.
Hey, I see something new on your desk over there, Jeff.
Oh, you looking at my PlayStation Slim?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bernie bought me a PS3 Slim.
I did.
Thank you so much for buying that, by the way.
Yeah, well, great. Thank you for thanking me after I went out, bought you a PS3 Slim, and then I came back and set it up while you were at lunch. And Gus, he walked in.
That is the most miserable. He walked in, saw the PS3 on his desk, and was like, what the fuck is this shit?
Oh my
It was
It was
almost-
the most upset. I can't imagine being that angry at
Listen,
getting a free video game console.
I was having a really bad day. While I was out at lunch, I took Gav to get his laptop fixed at the Apple Store. First off, they refused to fix my laptop, which was awesome. Then, as a reward, after taking him to get his fix, we go out to the parking lot, and my tire got blown. So then I had to buy 2 new tires, and I spent like an hour and a half at a fucking discount tire. I was just in a horrible, horrible, horrible mood.
It was though you were inconvenienced by the space that it was taking
know,
up. Like you had nowhere to put your coffee down. There's a fucking PS3 in the
I
way.
immediately realized that I was being just ridiculous, and I stopped. I'm very happy. I'm super appreciative. I went out last night and bought Infamous. It's the first party PS3 game I've purchased. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but I'm looking forward to doing that after this podcast.
Nice.
Yeah.
He didn't make it up to me though. He made out with me for 2 hours.
I did.
Oh,
yeah.
that's good. That makes it all better.
And then we went home.
I am. This is all part of an experiment that I'm kind of running with myself, too. Is that I've in the comments for the Drunk Tank, I've read that all we ever do is talk about Xbox 360, and of course then like Gus's sneezes and throwing up too. But so I said, you know what? I want to go out and buy a PS3 because this new Slim looks cool. So I went out and bought it, and I'm doing a thing where I'm trying to only play my PS3 for the next 30 days. And I just kind of started this, about a week and a half ago.
Seeing what life is like as a PS3
That is
gamer.
retarded.
And you're going to miss Left 4 Dead DLC, and you're going to miss ODST.
Yeah, that's a big problem for me, obviously, right? I'm going to miss the ODST launch. Which,
Every time I get an achievement in ODST, I'm going to show you.
I know. I mean, I have already played it. We got to play it for the commercials. So I'm kind of, giving myself an advantage there, but it's going to be so hard when everyone else has
Yeah.
ODST and I'm not going to be able to play
This
it.
is the time to play Firefight, right when it comes out.
Yeah.
Well, don't worry, I'll be playing I'll be playing Uncharted and Fat Princess, which by the way is a great game.
I like Fat Princess, yeah.
Yeah.
Fat Princess is cool.
Yeah, it's
But
great.
I'll,
25
I'll,
minutes.
I'll bring you Metal Gear Solid 4. I've got that. And then whenever you're done with Uncharted or Killzone 2, I'd like to
Right,
check this out.
I bought Killzone 2, and then I bought Little Big Planet for the kids, and then I just bought Uncharted because Uncharted 2 is coming out.
What's on the horizon other than Uncharted 2? Like, what is there to be excited about as a
Well,
PS3 gamer?
Uncharted 2 is the big thing to be excited about, and I went out and bought Uncharted just to get ready for it, and then played Uncharted, and I gotta tell you, that's Tomb Raider, that game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, I went through a tutorial where I'm in an Incan temple, and I'm learning to jump and grab ledges, and then scoot along ledges and fire my gun.
I don't know why, but I felt like it would be more than that.
Well, the voice acting is really good.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because that
That's
character
a weird,
Drake,
it's an odd thing to say.
I don't know how to explain it,
I
because
don't know how voice acting stands out in a video game.
well, we have a PS3 guy in the office, Brandon, and he had to go out and do what I just did. He had to go out and buy an Xbox 360 because he never played 360. And he asked me, he goes, "Did you like the voice acting?" I said, "Yeah, I really did like the voice acting in Uncharted. It might just be a really well-written character and really well acted.
Yeah.
But it really is Tomb Raider without Lara Croft. I mean, that's the way it feels to me.
They took out the tits.
So it's kind of hard to get excited about the upcoming holiday season when Uncharted 2 is your main title. It would be like if for the Xbox 360, if the biggest title coming out was Saints Row 2. Because, well, yeah, it's a great game. It's a clone. And we all
Yeah.
know it's a clone. It's a GTA clone.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a good game, but it's hard to make that, like, the linchpin for...
There's a difference, though. That like Saints Row does not give a shit. It knows it's a clone and it will milk that fact. Is it the same with Uncharted? Does it know it's just a clone of Tomb Raider, or is it trying to be something else?
I don't think I'm far enough into it to make that judgment.
Okay.
But the fact that you go to an Incan temple right off the bat, I think they're just embracing it.
I hear that Uncharted 2 is going to have 3-player co-op with like people completing like side missions and doing stuff to achieve a common goal. So we should try that out once it comes out.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we should.
So what do you think about the PS3 so far?
Well, so far there's some stuff I really like about it, and then some stuff that I've just I guess haven't grown used to yet. The big thing is that I'm only playing exclusive titles. I clearly I'm not going to buy Modern Warfare 2 for it,
Right, or Assassin's Creed.
or Assassin's Creed or stuff that's cross-platform, just because I would prefer to play those on the 360. To be honest with you,
Achievements.
yeah, and they do have a trophy system in the PS3, which is pretty cool. I really like their dashboard system.
I like you. You showed me a lot of this stuff the other day. I really like the fact that you have like an overall gamer level via trophies. That's pretty cool. That's something I wish the 360 would incorporate. I mean, I love the raw score we have, but it's cool to see that like you're a level 4 gamer.
Personally, I'm not a fan of that cross menu bar that you're talking about. That dashboard's accessible anywhere. I think it's overly complicated. Well,
You mean there's a lot of options on.
yeah, there's too many options.
That is true. I mean, I always say you can't have enough choices, but
Yeah.
you have too much
Like you go to
control.
your display options and there's just way too many.
I think it's ugly.
Bernie tried to play me a scene out of Children of Men, and we couldn't get it to play in 16:9. It was full screen, 4:3, and we
think
couldn't
that's a
figure it out.
I think that's a DVD playback error or something. I don't know
Oh,
what
we
it was.
played it. We played it on the Xbox, and it worked fine.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
By the way, that movie has some fucking awesome long shots in it.
Yeah,
that was insane.
Yeah, Gav hadn't seen it. He mentioned he hadn't seen it, so I got the movie just to bring it in to show him those long
Like there was
takes.
one 10-minute take where blood went on the lens, and they slowly digitally removed it as the take went on, right?
Yeah, and you don't even realize
and they
it.
fade it out like in areas of black on the screen.
Did you like that movie, Bernie? Children of Men?
No, I didn't like
I
the
didn't like it
movie,
either.
but I liked it on a technical level.
The action stuff is great. Like when he's like running through the street and he's trying to get into that building and there's the gunfight going on
Yeah.
all around. That's a tremendous scene.
You know
and
what-
it was shot very well.
But it's funny to think, like, there's one bit where he's already been running around and dodging bullets and jumping behind cars for like 8 minutes, and then he walks into a building and there's a guy with like, I think he's missing his legs or something, just like lying on
Yeah.
the ground. Imagine being that actor, just like you hear action, and then in 8 minutes you have to start acting, and you're basically waiting for Clive Owen and a Steadicam to come bolting into the room, and it's like, oh, I bet you must be so nervous. Like, I don't want to fuck this up. It must have been like a fucking week-long reset to do that again.
Yeah, they
That's a
said
good point.
They said that in the behind the scenes footage. Like, you did not want to be the person to mess up one of these.
You
long
would be,
scenes.
like fired without a second of thought.
Yeah, they just digitally remove you.
That's,
from the
that's
fucking
exactly
scene.
right. They
You'd
would
be
digitally
worried
remove
that
you.
Christian Bale would hear about it and then fly up and kick your ass.
So, is Clive Owen? Where's he from? Is he Welsh as well?
No, I think he's English.
English?
Is he a
Yeah.
brummie?
He's not. I've been teaching Jeff all these the other terms for areas around England. Like if you're from Liverpool, you're a Scouser.
A
If you're from
Scouser.
Birmingham, you're a Brummie.
Or a
If you're-
Geordie?
If you're from Newcastle, you're a Geordie.
What is the origin of those words? What does that mean?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know anything about.
God, Gav, you know,
where
every
I'm
time
from.
I ask you a question, you don't know anything. Anytime I ask you a question, I don't know.
I
Everything's
found
face
that
value.
everything I guessed in last week's podcast was spot on. I'd just like you to know that.
Congratulations, you win the guessing award.
Everyone in the comments has been bitching about like
Why
my
don't-
absolutely sloppy explanations about anything.
Why don't
Like,
you-
everyone in England must be mad at me for for butchering our history.
Why don't you guess where Clive Owen's from then?
I'm
See if
guessing
you can do
England.
that. What part of England, genius?
I don't know.
Fucking guess.
How could I guess that?
You do it right now. Let's see how
I'm guessing he was from Ealing.
Ealing. I'm gonna say Sussex.
Okay.
I'm going to say he's from a village in the Philippines that just recently had a pig stolen from it. That's where I think he's from. But, but back to the PlayStation 3. Things I like better than the 360, I like the dashboard better because I tend to be playing games when I hit the dashboard, and it comes up a lot faster, and it's your full dashboard in the game. I think that's pretty cool. You don't have to quit out of your game to get the dashboard.
Yeah, but if
how-
you want to do anything in it, doesn't it kill your game?
Yeah, but it says, do you want to quit? Yeah, but there's not that pause. That
I
we
hate
really
that
get.
though. I hate those. Do you want to do this? Dialogues.
Listen, the thing about the whole thing about the PS3, and maybe this is just like a one-off game, and it's not like this for anything else. But you tried to show me Pain. The other day.
Right. Pain is a downloadable,
It's a
like
$10 PSN title.
It's
Yeah.
like an arcade game, but for
Yeah,
PS3.
it's like an Xbox Live arcade game. And the first thing you did was you downloaded it, and
Yes.
that was totally fine. It's like a 400 meg file. You downloaded it, took about 10 minutes, and then you had to install it, which I find to be incredibly annoying because
It
you don't
was
have to do that
weird.
in the 360. When you download a game, you play it.
on
you
the
know?
PS3, you have to install all your retail games and install all your downloaded games.
But after you installed it, it said there's a mandatory update for this game. It was 300 megs. You had to download that, then install it. There were 5 of those. It took us about an hour and a half to play
Yes.
that game. An hour and a half of
Yeah,
downloading and
that's-
installing. Why? What the fuck?
It
It was
was-
1.7 gigs of downloads to play a 400 meg game.
Yeah. And then once you got in to that game, it was Pain by Axe. It's like a sponsored game, kind of like the Doritos game is on Xbox
Except
Live.
the Doritos game is free.
Yes, it is. And this thing was $10, and it has Axe all over it. It even has a character who's holding a can of Axe in his hand, and one of the trophies is associated with spraying yourself with Axe in flight. It's like a ragdoll game where you fire your characters out of a slingshot and break down.
Yeah, it's all physics
And then-
based.
yeah,
And Gav, fun game. Back me up.
It is a fun game.
Wrong.
There's definitely more to that game than First Meets the Eye. But
Wrong.
seriously, if you pick up that game and play it for 10 minutes and then put it down, it's the fucking worst game ever, and it's not worth. It's not worth the time to download it, let alone the money.
I've picked up that game 3 times trying to play it, and it's a piece of shit
but
every time.
I do like that game.
if the
There's-
first 10 minutes aren't
it's-
good, why would you give it another 10 minutes?
It's deeper than you think. Well, you're describing my experience with Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I'm really trying to. Before I started doing this experiment, I was trying to really get through Mass Effect and play it. And it's just that's been a really hard game to get into for some reason. For me.
I had similar problems.
But and let me be clear about this experiment that I'm doing. I'm not doing this to try to show how the 360 is a better console. I'm really trying to like go through this and make this my main console, and for 30 days and see what that's like.
Yeah,
and be objective. Pain is a deeper game than what you think it is. It really is.
Yeah,
I
if
agree
you have,
with you.
if you have deep pockets and you can afford to pay for every fucking element of the game.
Okay, so there's a problem with the game. When you first load up, it's one level sponsored by Axe, and there's 5 other levels or 4 other levels that you can choose, but they all say buy me,
And you've
And
already
they're
paid
$6
$9.99,
each.
right?
and they're $6 each. Right?
So there you go. You got,
and then there's 21 characters in the game. You have to buy all those too.
and they're $1.
$45.
And you don't have to buy the
there.
characters.
21.
21 plus 24 for the maps. That's 45.
Yeah.
Then $10 to get the game in the first place. 55.
And you don't have to buy the characters, but you do if you want to get the trophies, because they have trophies assigned to characters
They do.
that cost money.
But the 360 has DLC, and they have achievements associated with DLC, and it takes away your finished games when they put out DLC for it.
Man, I guess.
I don't like the idea of a whole like build your own version of the game based on what you want. I think that's a bad model.
By the time you're done buying everything, you are easily over the price of a retail game.
And that's not a retail game.
And then, no, I don't. I agree. I do not
Definitely
feel
not.
like that's a retail game.
yeah.
That'd be like if you it's like in Trials HD if you had to buy every level above easy.
Have you encountered any other PSN games that are like that or use that a la carte model?
No, that's a really popular title. Yeah, the updating system on that is weird. Like you download, the game came out. I looked it up. I think it was like a year and a half ago. And so you still download the 1.0 version, then you update to 1.1, then you update to 1.2, then you update, and it's like
All the way to
sequential.
1.5 or whatever.
How
right?
long was that process?
It was like
it
an
took
hour
us
and
an
a
hour
half.
and a half.
An hour and a half. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was kind of rough.
It was ridiculous.
Well, once I get my living room set up and I get my PlayStation out of storage, I'll play with you online. We'll play some games.
Yeah, and so it was. So I'm in the middle of the experiment, and that was that was kind of rough. That was a rough first experience with Pain.
But Fat Princess is very cool. And it has 32-player multiplayer, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fucking awesome.
That's like Castle Crashers meets Warcraft.
The RTS.
The
Right.
the RTS Warcraft, because you're like chopping down trees, but you're doing it yourself, and you're upgrading like the thing that makes wizards
Yeah, and you can either be like a wizard or a priest or a warrior or an archer, and you run around and
or a peon. Yeah,
or peon, do whatever you want.
and you're trying to like just take your princess back from the other castle.
It's like capture the flag, but the flag is a princess who may or may not be fat.
Yeah, and if you can feed her cake to make her fat, so it's harder to carry her.
so
Slows you down.
the enemies can't carry her.
It's
back.
fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, it's fun. And it's a cute game.
It's not a very deep game, but it's
No,
fun.
yeah, it gets old.
It's a cute
After
game.
a little while, but
Have you played Flower? Because I hear
Yeah.
Flower's tremendous.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a different kind of experience, and I have played it. And it's like where the 360 seems to be leaning towards cute.
Sure,
The-
like with avatars and stuff.
Yeah, the PS3 definitely seems to be leaning towards the odd. You know what I mean? Like that Japanese odd stuff, like a game all about flowers. Or, Katamari would be like on the borderline of cute. You
Yeah.
know?
It's definitely
Just-
odd. Or
yeah,
Nobby Nobby. Or,
Definitely. I haven't played Nobby Nobby, but I
oh
have
man, I
downloaded
forgot
it.
about that.
I have downloaded it. So
We'll have to check that out.
yeah, I'm checking this stuff out. So I'm keeping an open mind. Things I like about it, I love the fact, like on the controllers, when you hit the PS3 button, it brings up a menu that you would expect, like turn off the system, turn off the console, or turn off the controller. And it has another option to reassign the controller. Like if you're playing as player 2, you can reassign it to player 1. That's really cool. I'd love to see that on
Yeah,
the
it's handy.
360.
It's
yeah.
Yeah, but annoying thing about the controller, you have to, if you want to use the chat pad, it has to be charged separately. So
It
you have
does.
to charge the controller and the chat pad.
Because the
Yeah.
chat
What's the
pad,
deal with that?
the chat pad and the headset are independently Bluetooth as well as the controller. So it's
And it
three
doesn't-
things you're having to keep charged.
And it doesn't come with a headset. It seems like there's no social gaming aspect to the PS3. To me.
Yeah, the console does not come with a headset. And I had to pay $50 to get a wireless Bluetooth headset, which I can use with my phone,
they're-
but I'm not going to do that.
I haven't investigated this, and I'm going to guess this is not the case, but is there like a party system like when I start playing an Xbox game or when I turn my Xbox 360 on, the first thing I do is I go to my dashboard, I see who's online, I invite people to a party, I get like Jack and Gav and you or whatever in, and then we're like, hey, what are we going to do? Are we going to play an arcade game tonight? Or are we going to play, Gears of War or Left 4 Dead or whatever?
Yeah.
And we figure it out and we all play together. Is there anything like that?
Well, there is a chat, but I think it's single player chat, and like when you send messages to people, and is this good or bad? They don't have a voice aspect to the messages you can send to people.
I think that's good.
I think it's good too. Honestly, I really do. And the other thing, the versatility of the chat pad, it does suck to have separate power. Like the chat pad actually has an on-off switch, and you charge it separately. But then you also don't have to have it connected to your controller. You can have it separate and just
Okay.
leave it on your desk, and then just pick it up when you want to type something.
I guess that's
That is kind of handy.
Yeah, it's also above the joysticks, which is not seems weird to me, but I think that's just because I'm used to the 360 being below the joysticks.
I actually really like playing with the 360 controller with the chat pad on.
I do too.
'Cause
I like the weight.
it feels like the original Xbox,
That
like
monster?
the Godzilla one.
Yeah, it definitely gives it a nice weight. Well,
Yeah.
is there much more we want to talk about before we wrap up here?
Well, just like out of the box in the PS3, I want to tell you one more thing. It is nice that it's a neat square. Like, you don't have the wireless adapter, it comes built in, and it doesn't have that huge power brick that the 360 has.
It definitely has. I will say it has a low profile. I mean, it's just like it's on my desk here, and there's 2 small wires.
Yeah.
Connected, and that's it.
Yeah,
Right.
That's nice.
And
That is-
the fact that 360 doesn't come with wireless, I always thought it was a big detraction of the 360. But the fact that the PS3 doesn't have a headset, I think that's a pretty good trade-off. Because I definitely want a headset. I don't necessarily want wireless.
Right. Not everybody's into wireless.
Yeah, like, for instance, on my PS3 I have at home, it's not wireless. I have it hooked into my entertainment
Yeah,
console.
but
I always
the-
play wired.
The thing I fail to understand is the 360 obviously has some kind of wireless capability since it's already communicating with your wireless controllers.
Well, that's Bluetooth.
Is it Bluetooth for the
I think it
360?
is.
I thought it was a proprietary one, but regardless,
It's green tooth.
there is some type of wireless transmission going on there.
Jeff, are you uncomfortable with us talking about tooths so much?
No, I'm
Does it bother
okay.
you? I don't want to.
I'll survive.
Some kind of post-traumatic thing.
But
I,
we
I
were talking
appreciate
about-
the concern.
It's half-tooth technology.
We were talking about that wireless technology, wireless electricity, and how there's already like tables that will use those magnetic coils to charge stuff on the tables. Like you'll just put your phone on it. It'd be cool to have in future a console where if you placed your controllers and peripherals on top, it would charge them. That'd be a pretty cool thing.
That'd be neat.
Yeah, okay. Why don't you build that?
I got that Energizer charging stand for my PS3 controllers. That thing is hard to push things into. Like,
Really?
yeah. It's those mini, tiny little USB connectors, and so you got to line it up just right. It ain't easy. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I think I linked that in last week's link dump.
In this week's link dump, can you add a couple things for me?
Sure, what's up?
Can you please link the 9/11 FARC thread? And you can see in real time people reacting to the 9/11 thing. They link it every year on the anniversary of 9/11.
All right.
And then one more thing I want to mention about the PS3 though, is that the feel of the DualShock is something I just can't get used to, and I don't know why. In all the games I've played so far, the shooting is not the right trigger; it's the right bumper
That's
button.
retarded.
Yeah,
It's
just,
not. If we're in PS3 talk, it's not the R2 button; it's the R1 button.
Oh, yeah.
Makes no sense. You got a trigger.
No, but that's not. But a trigger is like a pressure set. Like there's like hundreds of different levels of pressure you can put on a trigger. When you're shooting, you just need on/off for a shooting.
I got news for you, buddy. If you pick up a gun and fire it, you're firing a fucking trigger.
And which is pressure sensitive.
What
right?
I'm saying is, it doesn't affect what you're doing depending on how hard you press it.
He's making an argument that doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense.
What do you mean?
All right.
It's meaningless. What you're saying has no point.
To
It
shoot,
doesn't mean
to shoot a gun, you need to just be able to click a button to shoot the gun. You don't need this pressure-sensitive trigger to shoot a gun.
Yeah, but it's a bigger button and it's more comfortable for your finger. We're not talking.
It's
No
in the
one was
right place.
talking about fucking pressure sensitive stuff.
It's not. We're talking
just
about
a trigger.
We're
We're
talking
just
about
talking about which
placement,
button.
you jackass.
God damn it, Gavino!
I like when Gus
Jesus.
gets mad at Gav.
This
Unnecessarily
time
mad
it's
at
for
Gav.
no reason.
Because
This time it's like,
you're talking about nonsense. Well, it's fine because that button's black.
hey, why
I
don't
mean,
we?
what-
This isn't
Hey,
for nonsense.
Gus.
Gus
Hey,
has
Gus.
to edit your retarded ass.
Why don't we talk about the fact that at breakfast today, orange juice fell out of your mouth and you got shocked by it? I was the only one. There was like 6 of us at the table. I was the only one that noticed Gus. He just took a sip, leant back, and like a massive dollop of orange juice just fell straight out of his mouth.
It didn't just fall; it shot out.
Yeah, and he was so surprised by it. He was like, "What the fuck just happened to me?"
Yeah, it was pretty embarrassing.
It made him jump.
Jeff's over the other end of the table, spilling his coffee all over
Oh
the
man, I
place.
spilled my coffee everywhere.
What
That
did
was
you
the worst.
do? Did
I
you
have
do that?
no idea. Somehow my hand was on the coffee cup. I didn't put it there. I just looked over. My hand was on the coffee cup, and it was like flipping it. I don't know what happened. I lost control of my left arm for a little bit.
I got gross lipstick coffee cup today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get swine flu off that bitch.
Yep.
Why's it gotta be a bitch?
That was a little. What does that mean?
Here we go again. All right. Anything else before we kill it?
Nah.
No, just wish me luck in my PS3 experiment.
Good luck. Hopefully,
luck.
I'll be playing with you soon online.
All right.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Ta-ta.
All right.
Bye.